I really think that if you want to brag around your friends and appear very cultured, you should see this video. So let's start with the big misunderstanding, the idea that the Rider Waite would be the reference tarot. The Rider deck was created a little bit more than 1 century ago, which in the history of tarot is very recent. Yes, the deck is revolutionary.
We've got material plane, earthly reality. We've got divine energy, a bloom that flowers downward towards us.
It is the most popular deck nowadays, and it completely shapes modern tarot practice. But it's just not the origin of tarot. So why so many people believe that? Because it was the first tarot deck in English published and widely distributed, especially after the 70s thanks to Stuart Kaplan. Its huge popularity made people think that it was the first one. So of course you might think, okay, so then if it's not the Rider Waite, it's the Tarot de Marseille. Yes, it's definitely older than the Rider Waite, but still it's not the first tarot. The Marseille style, as we know it today, appeared around the 17th century in France, and one of the older that we know is from Jean Nouble and appeared in 1650. But here is the surprising part. The name, the actual name Tarot de Marseille, was invented by a historian, Romain Merlin, in 1856. Before that, these decks were just tarot decks, among others. And the key point, even the Marseille tradition itself comes from older Italian decks. Historians agree that this visual style was imported from northern Italy, probably Milano, when French soldiers returned from Italian wars around 1500. So even the Tarot de Marseille is not the first tarot. It's already an evolution of something earlier. Now let's go to the real beginning, which is 15th century Renaissance Italia. Rinascimento. The oldest known tarot decks are the Visconti Sforza, made in 1441. These cards are all hand-painted and they were created for the Duke of Milano. 74 of the original 78 cards still exist today. They are now split between the Morgan Library in New York, the Brera Gallery in Milano, and the Carrara Academy in Bergamo. A very important detail here, these cards were not made for divination. They were part of an aristocratic card game named Triumphi, the Triumphs, basically the early name of the major arcana. And then comes something even more fascinating, the Sola Busca deck. This one is very essential for understanding modern tarot. The Sola Busca, all hands painted too, is the oldest complete tarot deck that we have. All the 78 cards survived. But the real innovation is this: even the minor arcana are illustrated with full scenes. And yes, this is exactly the feature that made the Rider Waite Smith famous 4 centuries later. And when you compare certain cards from the Sola Busca with the Rider Waite, like the 3 of Swords or the 10 of Wands, the similarities are very clear. It's not at all a coincidence, it's a direct inspiration. If this story interests you, I send you to my Milano vlog. I also have to mention the Mantegna Tarocchi, which was not really a tarot, more like an educational deck. It's a series of 50 engravings, but they really show that symbolic imagery that was already circulating at the time. We also need to talk about someone who often gets forgotten, Oswald Wirth. 20 years before the Rider Waite, this Swiss occultist created his own tarot deck based on the Marseille tradition, but with esoteric modifications inspired by Eliphas Levi and Stanislas de Guaita. So Wirth is basically the missing link between Marseille Tarot and modern esoteric decks like the Rider Waite. So yeah, tarot history definitely doesn't start in 1909. And now the most important thing I want to say. This is not a competition. I'm not saying that the Rider Waite is less legitimate because it's not the oldest tarot deck. In fact, the Rider Waite Smith achieved something incredible. Waite and Smith created a system that made tarot accessible to millions of people. Pamela Coleman Smith illustrated every minor arcana with very rich symbolic scenes, which of course makes intuitive reading possible for everyone. And honestly, that inspires me a lot with my own deck, where I really want to make the minor arcana more readable, more democratic, less abstract. At the end, what matters is not which tarot deck is the most ancient or the most authentic. You have to find a tarot deck that really speaks to you. Some people connect more with the simplicity of Marseille Tarot. Some others prefer the richness of the Rider Waite. Others use the Thoth Egyptian tarot deck or oracles. You have such a diversity nowadays that, just pick the one that resonates the most with you. My neighbor's favorite is the cat tarot, but I believe she's not a human. I believe she's a cat. If this is not a sign, okay, of course I said this is not a competition because I want to appear like a open-minded person. But between you and me, everybody knows that the best of the cream of tarot decks is the Marseille Tarot.